Today is yoga for stress. We are going to stay on the mat, do standing balances today. We're going to focus on getting really, really grounded. So there's a lot going on right now, a lot of things that might be swirling around, causing anxiety, causing stress. So we are going to work on trying to get rid of those. And rather than, so today's theme is peace and love, but rather than forcing out fear and worry and artificially replacing them with fear and love, we're going to work on being at peace with whatever is going on. So instead of forcing everything to be happy, shiny, it's not happy and shiny. We're not going to pretend that there is something there is not. We're going to sit with what is and get comfortable with what is and be respectful for our own fears and worries. Be respectful for our own feelings, our own state of being. So for today, if you have one of these bolsters, grab a bolster. We're going to work on trying to let things out of the body. So we're going to work on grounding, releasing, getting rid of some stress, and we're actually going to begin with the bolster. So if you have the bolster, you're going to lay it down. If you do not have the bolster, get into child's pose or crocodile pose, whatever is more comfortable for you. We want to try and have some compression from our shoulders to our hips. So whatever way that you find that you can do that. So if you have the bolster, you're going to try and get the bolster as much on between your hips and your shoulders. You want to have nice compression there. So you're going to come down. I like to make lots of space for my face. So I use a block. You can use a cushion. You can use a little eye pillow on top of the block to make it more comfortable. And you're going to place your forehead down so you have lots of room to breathe, lots of room for your face. Some people may wish to have something in underneath their ankles, a little bolster or blanket under the knees to make sure you're more comfortable. The idea is comfort. You want to be as comfortable as possible so that you can focus in on letting go. So bringing yourself down, getting yourself comfortable, and taking your time to get yourself comfortable. And you're going to bring your hands to whatever position feels most relaxing and most protective. So if you feel like you need to be closed in and protective, go ahead and hold the block, hold something, have your arms a little protective. If you feel like you're ready to let your shoulders just drop down, tuck your hands behind you so they're down towards the hips, and your shoulders can really fall down either side of the bolster or onto the mat. So you want to try and get to the point where you're really letting gravity pull everything down into the ground. So starting to really land in this position, and it's quite vulnerable. Your back is open. Start to really experience this position. What is your body feeling? What is your mind feeling? So I'm going to sit while I talk you through it. So really landing on the bolster. Finding your breath and finding if it's hard to breathe. Like as you start to think about your breath, are you someone who starts to really forcefully breathe in intentionally, lots of strong breath? Notice that. And start to really just land on the bolster and see what happens when you're a little compressed in the front line and you're trying to breathe in nice and slow. Notice if you feel, with your face down, you feel a little compressed or nervous about your breath or about your face being down and your back being open. Notice. Become present with the feelings that you may be experiencing. And start to really land in the room. So we're going to try and be respectful of ourselves, respectful of what is going on in our minds and our fears and our worries right now. We're not going to pretend it's not happening, but we are going to try and just for the moment land on our mat. So we want to be on the mat. Everything else that is happening is not here right now. It's not affecting us in this present moment in a way that we can affect change in this present moment other than within ourselves. So starting to really land on our mat. Make your mat your sacred space. Make your mat this space where it's just you right now. Nothing else, nothing for tomorrow, nothing from yesterday, just you right now. What do you feel? Can you feel your body landing? Can you feel gravity pulling you down onto the mat? Can you feel your shoulders starting to soften in towards the mat? And if your thoughts are swirling, rather than fighting with them, rather than trying to tell yourself your thoughts should not be swirling, just notice. Notice that your thoughts are swirling. Notice that that's what thoughts do. And start to think about the concept of the fact that we are not just our cognitive head. That all of the parts of ourselves are supposed to function together as a whole. So our cognitive head is there for us to interpret all of the thoughts, feelings, filters for our environment. It's not the sole part of our whole being. So start to really connect with that. Really connect with the thoughts being part of the cognitive head. And they're just doing what they're doing. They fire around, they try to interpret. See if you can feel a little compression on the forehead, noticing that point right in the center of the forehead. And each time the thoughts pull you back into that cognitive wave, that cognitive firing, just start to check back in with the physical body. Start to feel the physical body. Your body is on the mat. Your body is on the bolster if you have the bolster. Connect with feeling your feet. Connect with feeling your shoulders. Perhaps your shoulders are starting to soften a little more into the mat as your body begins to relax more and more. Perhaps your spine feels like it's lengthening a little. You might need to wiggle and adjust. And if you're feeling particularly tense, if you're feeling particularly tight and wound up, start to breathe in nice and soft and slow. And breathe out through the mouth, a little soft and slow sigh. As if you're really just trying to exit all of that stress from the body. So breathing in, using your breath to push out gently all things no longer needed. Drawing your breath deeply and fully in. And then exhale. Feel your breath because you're down, face down on your bolster. You can feel the breath as it comes out, sighing it out of the mouth. If you're a visual person, perhaps even taking some of those thoughts and worries that are really nagging at you and really breathing in fresh air, bringing those thoughts and worries from the brain all the way down into the body, and then exhaling, sighing them out, getting ready to release them. And you can continue with this breath. And this is working for you. We're going to work on the concept of surrender. So this pose, being down on your stomach with your back exposed, is a pose of surrender, a pose of letting go. So think about the concept of surrender. Surrender to the things that we cannot change. And if you have a religious practice, often this is a prayer that we have in our religious practices. So think about that concept. Surrendering to what we cannot change. Letting go of what we cannot change, especially letting go of the cognitive desperation to change and control our environment. And then with respect, thinking about what we can change, and that is within. What's within? What can we change within? We can work to draw in some peace and some kindness, and not for all of time, not so that we're walking around with our hearts open thinking nothing bad will ever happen, but so that we can draw in and connect into our center. Fill it with a little calm, a little peace, even for a moment, even if it's for one breath, even if it's between one wave of thoughts. We can draw in a little peace. And we can let go of some of the barriers, some of the hindering thoughts to that inner peace. And then to come out of this pose, you're going to move nice and slow and gentle. So really gentle coming out of this pose. So start to just bring your hands onto the mat and feel your hands on the mat. Really start to fire up your hands, feel your feet. Give some wiggles of the body, some wiggles of the shoulders. Maybe tuck the toes, feel the legs and feet. And then squeezing the stomach muscles towards the spine and pressing into the arms nice and slow. Send it back to a child's pose, unless you're already there. If you began in child's, just rest in child. And take a moment just to come out of that pose, reset. And then gently come to a seated position. So find a comfortable seated position. So if you want to use the bolster, come up on the bolster. You can get your hips up a little higher than your knees. It can be a little more comfortable. And also it's softer. If you want to find a chair, find a chair. This class is about comfort. It is not about increasing stress into the body. So if you need a chair, grab a chair. Find a seat and start to feel your seat. Start to feel your shoulders. Start to feel what's present in the neck. Maybe give some wiggles of the torso. Feel what's present in the lower back. Feel what's present across the chest. And then warm your hands, nice and warm. So really warm your hands, rubbing them together. And then bring them to the lower torso. Thinking about your emotional space, so lower torso just below the rib cage. So think about all of your emotions, your fears, your worries, your joy. And really start to feel the warmth of your hands in this space, as if you're giving your emotional state a little hug, a little kindness, a little respect. And think about the worries. Think about the fact that they swirl. Think about fear. These are all swirling filters for our environment. So almost as if you're giving them permission to be moving, swirling energies. Think about softening this space and discontinuing the fight with the emotional state. And then think about the concept of fight or flight. And what's the opposite of fight or flight? Rest and digest. So even when we're completely unaware that we're in a stress state, even when we are completely unaware that we're reacting to the filters of our environment, we are often turned on to fight or flight. So our muscles, our lower back muscles, our thighs are all ready to fire up and get ready to flee. Some of the other muscles in our body may hold that same tension. But rest and digest, everything softens. This fight or flight turns off. Rest softens, our digestion begins again. So think about actively being present with whichever state you may be in. Maybe you're already in rest and digest. Maybe you're in fight or flight. Maybe you know you are. Maybe you don't. But think about connecting to knowing that state rather than just being completely unaware of what state you're in. And think about honoring the state that you're in. Being present with it. And as you give your emotions, your feelings, your filters, space, perhaps you're noticing a softening. Perhaps your breath is slowing. Maybe some softening of muscles. And then we're going to work on cleansing. So cleansing, rolling movement, freeing ourselves from any tension in our muscles. So we begin with the spine. So we're going to keep the hips grounded and take little tiny spirals with the chest. So the chest, thinking about the sternum, moving the chest around, little tiny spirals. Nice and slow. And then reverse the direction. Notice if you need to keep your eyes open as you move, or if you have a desire to close them, and honor whichever one seems to be the one you're working with today. If it helps you to tune in and feel what's going on in the physical body, to close the eyes, go ahead, close the eyes as much as you can. Bring the torso back to center, and we're going to roll one shoulder at a time, nice and slow. One at a time, as if you're really trying to feel every direction your shoulder can move in. Still trying to retain that nice, slow, gentle breath. No force, no restriction, no muscles, just being present with letting breath sweep in and sweep out. Draw both shoulders back. Begin to pull the shoulder blades together. So pull the shoulder blades together and notice what happens in the low back. Try to keep the low back soft and just between the shoulder blades. And then we're going to draw the shoulder blades up towards the ears while squeezing and down. So inhale, draw the shoulder blades up. Exhale, draw them down. Trying to find those muscles between the shoulders. These are often muscles that we pinch in tension, or muscles that get tight if we work over a desk or watch TV. So squeeze them, work them, feel them. Not overly squeezing them, not trying to be really, really strong today. We're trying to just connect with our body, connect with whatever is present in our physical body. Let the shoulders soften. We're going to take the arms out, so arms out, and we're going to roll the shoulders with our arms out. So we're going to do one at a time like a corkscrew. So you're going to roll the right shoulder down, look at the right hand, and then roll it back and roll the left shoulder down. So we're going to roll back and forth. So you're using your hand to turn, but you're really wanting to move through the shoulders. So hand is just our guide. So don't turn from the hand, but just use it as a guide. As you get used to the movement, start to make it more your own and notice what is present in your own body. Notice any points where it feels nice to kind of push in, feel, find your own points of tension. Maybe you move the torso, maybe you don't. Make this movement more natural, more your own. Let go of somebody else's rules. Feel your own body. Hold the arms out, push the hands away from you. Start to activate the hands. If you have sensitive wrists and stretching the hands out is tough, make fists. So hold, be strong. Notice what happened in your low back. Try to get it soft again. Notice if you're clenching in your neck or your face. Hold your arms out. And then we're going to push the arms out and then pull the shoulder blades together. So inhale, push. Exhale, pull the shoulder blades together. Small movement. We're trying to find all the muscles at the arms and shoulders. And we're trying not to use that lower back. Whenever we're doing small controlled movements, the bigger muscle groups are going to want to come to the party. So you want to check in. You want to try and work with your holding patterns. Get to know them. And then let the arms drop. Take some wiggle. Soften that out. And then we're going to take the right hand across the body. Again, spreading the hands so the hand, arm are active. We're making a fist. Everything's strong. So strong from the fingertips to the shoulder. And we're going to push the hand away from here and then pull it back. So now we're looking for the muscles in under the armpit as well as through the shoulder. So you're really moving in and down. Pull the shoulder down. See if you can find some other muscles at the shoulder. Nice soft breath, nice soft face. Bring the fingertips to the shoulders of both hands. So both fingertips to the shoulders. And then roll the shoulders, roll the elbows up and around, big circles. Nice and slow. You're still trying to be present with the muscles of the shoulders. Fingertips are soft this time. Back to neutral and take the left hand across. Activate the hand, either spreading fingers or making fists. You can also make claws. And then we're going to push the arm away and pull the shoulder back and down, trying to find muscles just in underneath the armpit. Push and pull. And then bring the fingertips back to the shoulders. This time we're going to draw the elbows out and then in towards center. Bring your elbows high. So out and in. Again, looking in on the lower back, checking in. Inhale as you open, exhale as you squeeze. Bring the arms down. Take a little softness of the shoulders, wiggles. We're going to bring the right hand up to the shoulder and pull the right elbow out to the side. We're going to engage the core muscle. So pull your stomach towards your spine a little, not too tight, so not too much tension. And we're going to squeeze the elbow down to the right and up. So squeeze down to the right and up. Little engagement in the stomach. Try not to use the back muscles to do this. You're going to locate the muscles on the side of the torso and engage in the core. Inhale as you lift. Exhale as you squeeze down. Squeeze down. Hold and engage. Draw the elbow back a little. Pull, pull, pull. Find some muscles. Engage. Watch for tension in the neck. And then back to neutral. Lower the arm, switch sides. Left hand to shoulder, pull the elbow up, squeeze the core, little tilt. Connecting to your muscles, being present with what is there in your body. Bring it back to neutral. We're going to work with our breath a little. So take this as slow or as fast as you feel works for you. Everybody has a different reaction to breath practices. So we're going to inhale, bring our arms up. And as we breathe out, we're going to be a little more forceful. So we're going to think about as if we're pushing away things that are bothering us. And we're going to push as we bring our arms down. So inhale, and a little more forceful with the exhale, as if you're really thinking about what you need to let go of, and push it out. Try not to do it too many times, but take a couple of times, seeing how that feels in your own body. If it's too much, bring your hands to prayer and bring your prayer to your forehead and just rest. Especially if it's bringing too much energy to the head. So inhale deep and push it out. And then when you're ready, rest with your palms up. Soften your shoulders. Soften the muscles of the torso, the face. Soften your hands. And feel whatever is present. And if you're feeling that this is just right for you, stay here, just feeling, noticing energy present in the body, noticing how your body feels, noticing how your thoughts are reacting. If you feel like you have too much energy, we're going to do cooling breath. So we're going to make an O with our mouth and breathe in through our mouth, or wrap your tongue into an O. So a little roll of your tongue, or making an O shape with your mouth, and breathe in, cooling breath. And regular, soft sigh out of the mouth. Tuck your arms just behind your hips. Your hands are just going to land on your hips. The back of your hand is going to push into your hips. You're going to lock your shoulders. So you want to get strong in your shoulders. So your shoulders are not moving. You're activating your arms and shoulders. Get really tall, soft in the back. Soft in the face, taller, 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 as if you're pushing the crown of the head to the ceiling. And with our arms locked, so our muscles locked and still, we're going to take a soft roll of the head. So bring the chin down and roll the head nice and slow, as if you're trying to feel every single muscle and the way that your head and neck can move. So slow, 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 as slow as you can. Try not to drop the head back at all. You're not dropping the head. You're trying to find the muscles of the neck. And when you get back to neutral, find your way back in the opposite direction, still keeping that lock of the shoulders and arms. Now bring your head back to neutral. You can repeat this, or if you're able to wrap yourself, bring your feet to the ground, knees up, and wrap. So you're going to wrap your arms around just underneath your knees, hug tight. You can even hold your elbows just above your elbows. Hold tight, and then push your shoulder blades wide. So really push through your shoulder blades, and you can duck your chin down. You can keep your head neutral. See which feels right for you. A little bit of action in the feet. So a little press into the feet so you're really feeling the ground. Keep everything locked, and then try your head circle here. Nice and slow. You'll have a smaller circle, but you may notice different points of tension in your neck, and then back in the other direction. And then bring your head back to neutral. Let that go. We're going to make our way to tabletop. So taking your time, setting up into tabletop. We're going to move and breathe in this position. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale, towards child's pose. Inhale, forward. Exhale, back. And you can take any movements that feel right for you. So you can take this moving from the tailbone forward and then pulling from the tailbone back, making this more through the spine. You can take it left and right, taking hip circles. Start to feel what feels right for you today. Find the movement that you feel you need to move. Maybe you need to move the shoulders together and then pull the shoulder blades apart. And then come on up to a tabletop position. We're going to take barrel rolls. So, tabletop, roll the chest, roll the rib cage, nice and slow. And then reverse your direction, moving slow, feeling what is present. Come back to a neutral tabletop. Take the right leg, toes down, press through the heel. And you can take this static, holding, or you can take little pulses back and forth. Try to move rather from the heel, but pull from the calf muscle. See if you can open up the calf, the lower leg. And then cross the left foot past the right foot. So cross this foot, move the foot over towards the right. Tuck the right knee behind the left knee and sink the hips back, keeping some tension in your hands. You're still engaged in the arms and hands. You should find right there on your piriformis hip space, glute space on the left side. Watch for tension in the neck. And slowly come back to a tabletop. Take the left leg out. Lower the toes, press through the heels, static or moving. Cross the right foot over towards the left, tuck the left knee behind the right, and sink the hips back. See if you can find that piriformis space on the right side this time. And if you're not feeling it, experiment with pressing your feet into the ground and engaging the legs a little. Stop in the face. Stay present with your breath. Slowly bring it back to a neutral tabletop position. Turn left fingertips to point towards you. If your wrists are tight, bring them really close to your knee. If they're a little more open, bring them further away. Press the fingertips down first. So press and engage the hand and then send the wrist down. So you want to stay a little active. Feel like you're opening up the wrists. And then switch sides, right fingertips. And then switch that back. Take your right fist down to the ground, trying to land on the first two fingers. And then pull up. So pull up from the ground. Pull up with all of the muscles of the arms and shoulder. Keep some weight on this right arm until you know your wrist is strong and steady. And then other hand pressing down into the right fist, pulling up. We're going to do a little work on the feet. So feet can hold a lot of tension. If you need something underneath your knees, throw a blanket underneath your knees. We're going to press into the toes. So tuck the toes, press into the toes from tabletop. Maybe this is enough for you. Maybe you can feel opening in your feet right here. Maybe you need to lift and hover the knees to feel a little more strength in the feet. Or maybe you're going to come all the way back slowly. Grab your block and come on up to a seated toe stand. So your toes, you're going to have your hips come down towards your heels. Try not to go onto the heels, but engage and lift up a little. And see how long you can hold. Breathe. So this should not be causing pain. You should feeling strength and stretch in your feet, not pain. If it's pain, back off. Bring less weight onto your feet. And then slowly untuck the toes, press the tops of the feet into the ground. If your hips are not already up, come on up, grab your block, press the tops of the feet into the ground. So again, everybody's feet are different and how much opening you have in your feet is different for everyone. Hold on to your block and pull the left knee up. So bring the weight onto the right leg, pull the left knee up, leaving the top of the foot down and pull. Maybe you can move the foot a little further forward and pull and send your hips back so you're really opening up the top of the foot. If you have super open feet, you can come all the way back with both feet, lifting up, holding your block. So wherever you're at, nice and slow. If you're on the left foot, slowly adjust. Pull the right knee up, leaving the foot attached to the ground. So you're pulling up, starting to feel a stretch, seeing where your foot is at, seeing how tight it is. If you're able to move the foot a little further forward and sink the hip back, go slow. Be mindful of what's present in your knees. Notice where you're at. Or if you're on both feet, you're still up. Pulling your knees up with your muscles. And then slowly lower. Come on down to your back. So if you have a chair or if you have your cushion, have your bolster so you can put your heels onto it. Land on your back. So take some wiggles of your hips. Land on your back. Start to notice that this is the opposite way that we began practice in. And keeping your left foot down, lift your right leg so you can see your foot. So place your leg wherever you can see your foot. Spread your toes. Now with your toes spread and your whole foot active, so as if you're pushing the ball of your foot away from your toes or spread, take a big circle with your foot. Work through the muscles. Feel the muscles. Look at the foot so you remember to stay present. And then reverse your circle. And then wiggle the toes, wiggle the leg, loosen it, soften it, get rid of anything that's no longer needed. Place the right foot back down, left foot up, spread the toes. Be mindful of what's going on in the lower back. Keep your lower back soft. Keep your face soft. Try not to push the neck down onto the ground. Have less tension in your neck. And then with the toes spread wide, foot active, big circle with your foot. Trying to keep the legs still. So really just working through the foot. And then reverse your circle. And then shake out the leg. Bring the foot back down and we're going to make a decision about where we want to be. Sorry, my clock broke. I have to check the time. We're going to make a decision about where we want to be for meditation. So we have the bolster. Sitting the bolster right in, not that far away, underneath your knees. As long as your feet touch the ground. If your feet don't touch the ground in this manner, put something in underneath your feet as well. See, my feet don't quite touch. So that you don't feel like you're hanging in space. Another thing that often happens when we do this is we tilt the pelvis and flatten the back to the ground. So try to bring a natural, shake it around until you have your natural curve of your back. We're not trying to over flatten the curves of the spine when we lay down. And what we're doing by bending the knees is taking any of that typical tension we have around the glutes and the backs of the legs out. This is a resting pose. Find the position that you can be in that your body feels like it's most likely to release all of the muscular tension in the body. If you have the chair, you can bring your feet up on the chair if you prefer that. Find a way that you can land on the ground and start to be super comfortable. Pick up your arms, take your hands towards the ceiling. Pick them up, reach them up, pull your shoulders up, 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 up. Try to keep your head on the ground, lift your shoulders, and then let them plop down, and then let the arms come down, palms up, bend in the arms, make everything as soft as possible. See if your shoulders are a little closer to the ground than perhaps they were before. And if you have particularly rounded shoulders, tense pecs, place something in underneath your shoulder. If you don't have a blanket handy, little blanket, something small, so that your shoulder knows where support is. So that this muscle that's holding the shoulder up, maybe it's some neck muscles, maybe it's the pecs, holding the shoulder up, pulling the shoulder taut. As you're releasing, it knows something's behind it. It can start to release its burden. And you can notice that that starts to soften down into the ground more and more. So give your body support. Find support for your body. Find the places that you need support. Get to know your body. Get to know where you're holding your tension. And this doesn't mean looking in the mirror and judging the way that your posture is, judging all your holding patterns and the things that your body has been through. It's just getting to know how it feels. So our mind is always looking for homeostasis, that like center. And sometimes if we have tension in a muscle and it's been there for a long, long time, our brain will say, okay, I don't need to think about that anymore. That's just normal. That's homeostasis. So bringing that mind-body connection back to those holding patterns. Perhaps we have one shoulder that's a little tighter than the other and we don't know it's there. And then telling our brain, not that this shouldn't be here, but like, oh, hey, look at all that muscular tension here. And then just sitting with it rather than cognitively thinking about it, just feeling, trying to find sensation in this space more. We can start to loosen it and let it go. So returning to that concept of surrender. What can you surrender? What can you release from your muscles? Can you release a little more tension from in around the hips, in around the glutes? Can you surrender some tension from in around the lower torso? Can you surrender some of the tension across the front of the shoulders, the back of the shoulders, up into the neck? And then again, we're going to peek in and notice what is present. What is present for you right now? And there are no right or wrong answers. There just is. Emotions are filters for our environment. Thoughts are also filters in our environment. They're just things trying to process. There are electrical messages coming from our body to our brain, from our brain to our body. And the cognitive mind tries to sort and filter. And that's its job. So rather than wrestling with it, starting to think about just noticing it, respecting it, honoring it, letting it do its job. But remembering that it is not the boss, it is not the whole story, it is not the show. There are all parts to this whole being. There's the spiritual part, there's the energetic part, there is the mental part, the emotional part, the physical part. All these parts work together. And even the ego is part of us. We are a whole being. As you start to surrender more and more into the ground, I'm going to read from Pixie Lighthorse about honoring respect. Thank you for this day of reverent growth. I am seeking new ways to respect myself, you, the earth, and my dear ones. I am asking for help to know what I value and to treat it right. I am asking for solid support in building my vocabulary and increasing my range to address all that I cherish. As I take inventory of those I deeply admire, teach me to see myself as worthy of high regard. Drive me to notice where I can develop keen listening and speak to my people with great care and consideration. Help me speak with sacredness on my mind. When I don't agree with what is being said, turn up my ability for high-frequency communication and awareness to the level I would most love to receive when I am in the same position. Coat my throat in the language of conserving and protecting what is truly precious. Do not discover me traveling well-worn paths of resentment. Cultivate me in a terminology of sticking to the point and help me to see verbal violations as utterly dysfunctional. Help me receive the sentiment behind the words because few will be able to say it like I want to hear it. Build me in tolerance for those I adore, to tap into the sweetness that they attempt to convey. Protect them from my haphazard accusations of crimes they did not commit. Help me to remember why I love them and why we are in relationship. Reform our bonds and raise my level of integrity. Remind me to offer confidentiality when called for and to hold the intimacies of my beloved ones with trust. I love this world and all natural things in it. Let me see myself and those close to me as part of that immense organic beauty. Lead me in the ways of preserving and protecting what I value. Concern me less with the stories holding me accountable. Let respect inform my actions. Help me to acknowledge where I can pay more tribute. Warm my heart with a flame of reverence and gratitude for all living things. Establish me in the depth of recognition for all which needs my support. I am able and willing to give it. Sock it to me. So peace and love begins with respect. Begins with respecting ourselves so that we can learn to respect others. We cannot force peace on others. We cannot force love on others. We cannot force them to behave in ways of love. But we can send out compassion for their fear and their stress that is controlling their actions. And the only way that we can send others compassion is to learn to respect and give ourselves compassion. So think about wrapping yourself in respect and compassion. Think about honoring your mistakes. Think about loving yourself for the times that you made where your deeds, words, and actions were not in line with your inner truth, but in line with your spirit, in line with your moral compass. Because when we forgive ourselves, we increase the ability to send out forgiveness and compassion to others who are making their words, deeds, and actions decisions based on their fear, based on their worries. We're completely unaware of where their words and deeds and actions are coming from because they're disconnected. They've forgotten to connect into their moral compass, or their moral compass has become murky, hard to find. We've all lost our way. We've all had moments where we've lost our way. So wrap yourself in peace, love, and compassion, and a whole bunch of respect. With every breath, imagine you're drawing in a little more love, respect, and compassion. And with every breath out, imagine releasing not the things that you've done wrong, but the bonds that tie us to these things, the bonds that tie us to the weights of the things that we judge ourselves for, the burden of those fretful emotions, the burden of the well-worn path that we travel in our mind, judging ourselves. Perhaps even thinking of some of these things as being little boulders in our brain. And there's a path on the way to that boulder, and we're just going to clean the path. The boulder is still there. It's still a part of us. We're just going to sweep the path. Stop walking that well-worn path and make space for new paths. Maybe you'd like to stay with this visual of just constantly seeing the patterns of your thoughts and imagining just sweeping the path of that pattern, cleansing it and starting over. Or if you're ready, start to drop down lower and lower as if you're drawing in closer and closer to your spiritual center, away from the brain. And that can be as simple as looking for the sound of your own heartbeat. Or if you're more visual, just drawing in deeper and deeper below the layers, drawing from the layer of the energetic body to the physical body, down through the thoughts, and drawing in slowly, 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 slowly in towards your spiritual center. And every time you get pulled out, begin again without frustration, just honoring the practice. And if you have the time to take, spending the time in this practice, working through the layers and drawing in towards center with love and respect, go ahead and spend as much time as you need in this practice. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, here we are. So begin bringing yourself back to present moment. Start to feel the physical body on the mat. And then curl up in a ball, nice and slow. Take your time as if trying not to fully wake your body just yet. Curl up in a ball in a fetal position, and whatever side is calling to you. Think about still being wrapped in that ball of compassion and kindness and respect, peace and love. And then draw yourself up to a seated position, bringing your hands to prayer at heart space, honoring your spiritual center. And bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart, as if accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. then thinking about all that compassion and kindness and respect. And think about sending it out. And you can just imagine sending it out into our community, into the world right now. You can imagine someone in particular. It can be someone you know or someone you do not. It can be a group of people. Think of a visual to send this kindness, compassion, and understanding out to. Peace and love. Peace and love is kindness, compassion, and respect, no matter who the other person is and what they are struggling with. Without judgment, send out compassion. Without fear, send out compassion. It matters not whether this compassion and kindness and respect is received. It matters not if it's understood. It matters not if it's returned. From your own spiritual heart center, you can send out some kindness and compassion. And in doing the act, experience kindness and compassion for yourself increase, and understanding and compassion for others increase. May you spend many moments of your day returning to this concept of kindness and compassion, whether you need to draw it into yourself or you think of someone you need to send it out to. Thank you for joining me.